That's Mike.
And that's Drew.
And this is Reed with Smart Home Solver.
Hey guys.
Reed Kleinman is an Arizona-based YouTuber who started Smart Home Solver with his wife Allie in 2015, helping viewers to research and understand the best setups for their own smart homes. Reed's YouTube channel now has 105 videos with 177,000 subscribers and nearly 20 million views. Follow the link in the bio to his channel for weekly new videos and check out his website for a free Smart Home Solver tool and his tech guide. Thanks for being with us today, Reed.
Yeah, thanks for having me on here. This is great.
Yeah,
thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
So let's start with your past, right? So you went to BYU and you studied information technology.
That's right.
Before you went to BYU, what sparked your interest in technology?
So growing up, I've always just loved, different computers, just random technology. I thought I'd be like an electrical engineer when I grew up, but I took a programming, like an intro programming class at BYU, and I fell in love with it. Like literally was my favorite class, and it was my highest grade for that semester. So I was like, maybe I like this. Maybe I should do more of this. Anyways, I just, information technology. It's like a mix. I got a minor in computer science, so it's kind of like a mix between that, APIs, like getting everything to work together. So it's not necessarily like IT fixing computers, it's getting systems to work together. So I just loved it. It was amazing.
That's something that's come across to me in your videos when you said the phrase getting systems to work together. One of the things that I wrote down in our notes was that it seems like you focus a lot on creative problem solving, and that's sort of creative problem solving from a homeowner's perspective, at least with your channel. Where did you get that motivation, or where did you have that creative problem solving growing up? Did you notice that before you took that class in college?
I don't know. I think it's just something that I kind of discovered like in college and work. I worked in the, development field for about 10 years, and just being able to say, hey, we need this to work, just figure it out, and just being able to research and try things out. So it's been just kind of a developed thing. It's not necessarily like, growing up, I had no idea that, one, I would be where I am right now, and two, like, what I would do, like computer programming and stuff. So just kind of, I wish I would have known. I wish I'd known that was a path, growing up, but it just kind of just fell into place, I guess.
So when you were growing up, when did you get your first computer? When was your first introduction to this technology world?
Well, let's see. My dad was into computers a little bit. It was just kind of a hobby, like gaming, and he would have like a few, we'd have like the LAN parties and all that kind of stuff. So that was always a lot of fun. And then I guess I got an Apple computer like after high school, before college, and I started to do mobile development. And that's kind of when it kind of sparked it a little bit as well. It was, the App Store just opened up, and I just started trying stuff out with that, and it was like kind of addicting for me. Like it was like fun, in a weird way. And so, I just love doing it. So.
And so if your dad was into computers growing up, and probably part of the introduction to computers for you and technology in general, did your dad ever dabble in some smart home items as your home growing up, or was it pretty simple in the world of,
He did. So, towards like the end of high school, he remodeled his house, and he built a theater room. And
cool.
It was just like he had this big, huge kind of like media server, and the shades would automatically come down when you like turned on the theater screen would come down, all that kind of stuff. It was pretty sweet, and we still have it and everything. And that was, pretty eye-opening. Like, whoa, look at the lights are changing, all this stuff's happening. So, but I didn't really think like, oh, that's something I want to do, like for a career or anything. It was just kind of like, oh, that's really cool kind of deal. And he had a lot of like gadgets, technology. It's like he loved that kind of stuff. So definitely, was an interest to me as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And so Just to dig into that, what kind of was it like did he have like a DVD rack that, automated that you could pull up and see like tiles and titles and stuff like that? Or was it?
Yeah, it had a DVD or Blu-ray player or DVD player, and then he did have a PC hooked up to it as
Oh,
well.
cool.
And he had like this company kind of do it all for him, and they kind of it was just some crazy wires, like all this stuff. I mean, now you can do it for so much less expensive and way like a smaller setup and everything. But back then, that was kind of the way you had to do it. So.
Well, even today, I mean, I think there's two kinds of the market, right? And you focus very specifically on the homeowner side and the do it yourself and easy to do. So that's pretty neat that you had that perspective of the other side. And so you talked a little about this too. So then you graduate college, right? And you go down to the path of almost every college graduate. You go into the professional field. And so you were working with Excelis, Photomask, Capital One Home Loans, Refer.com, those kind of items as a developer. Or what exactly were you doing there?
Yeah, so I started off at Capital One, just corporate job, doing Java development, and it was Capital One's amazing company. They took really good care of me and everything. But eventually, I was out in Texas, and my wife and I wanted to move a little bit closer to family, so we moved up to Idaho, and so I started working at a small startup, and that's where really got heavily into like it was a small SaaS company and doing lots of development for them. And that's right then is kind of when we started to go down the smart home path.
Okay.
But yeah, so I mean, throughout that, a lot of programming throughout college, side things, creating little apps or websites and stuff on the side. So kind of always had that little bit of like an entrepreneur spirit, kind of like doing side things or whatever. So yeah.
And it's an important feat too, because I think that's kind of the message that we're trying to say is like, you can always work full time and on the side you can get something going, and maybe one day you could be like what you are today, where your side business now became your main business, and you probably are much happier doing something like that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. You pretty much, yeah. I was never wanting to just, jump in and try to do something like take a loan or whatever. Like that was seemed a little too risky for me. So yeah, we've always kind of worked on it on the side, built it up. And even though it's a lot more work to be able to do that, it was a lot less risk involved. And so, but yeah, it's definitely anybody can do it. I mean, we just basically worked at nights and on the weekends for a longest time. So.
Yeah, and so okay, so that pulls us right in. So right around what 2015,
Yeah,
you started
2015.
The Smart Home Solver blog, and
That's right.
and that was more so where you guys could just put your thoughts down onto paper about testing items,
That's
or
right.
what was the thought process of starting the site itself?
Yeah, so my wife, she studied communication, and she was really good at writing. I wasn't, being like a from technology, like not good with. I was scared to write a blog, really, but I was like, I like the idea of doing something technical where I could kind of be over the technical stuff, and she could be over making sure it's grammatically correct and sounds nice and everything. So we've always kind of since then we've always worked as a team even till today. So when we started, we wanted to make the smart home just a little bit easier for people. Like it was the Echo had just come out like a year before, and everything was like very confusing on what worked together, what didn't, how to do certain things in the smart home, what devices were the best, like all this kind of stuff. And so we felt like we could help the community by writing articles and kind of solving problems in the smart home community of like what works together, what doesn't, what's the best products and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what we've always wanted to do from the beginning.
That makes total
What
sense.
worked really well with the blog at the beginning? What did not work so well with the blog at the beginning?
What worked well was that we would make like we tried to write just some standard things and it just didn't work well. Like we would just be like, oh, hey, we would just write this. But then when we started, hey, we'll do a big comparison and we'll find some info that's really hard to find and make it easily available and easily comparable to other stuff. That worked out really well because, no one really wants to go do work. They're just like, hey, just tell me what's the best, make it as easy for me as
Hmm.
possible. So once we kind of figured that out, that was like a big light bulb on of like, hey, people like this, they want it easy. We do the hard research and people, and that's kind of, we started seeing stuff like people sharing those kind of articles and it ranking on Google and stuff like that. So.
Oh, cool.
And so you're making the blog, right? I'm the same way. I'm not at all a writer, but my wife is a great writer, so I would do the same thing. So you start the blog, right? And at one point did you guys go from the written side of to the medium of using YouTube?
Yeah, so my wife was like, hey, we need to go into the YouTube space, and it sounds crazy now, like I didn't even think of that, like, and she was like, hey, you're gonna sit down in front of the camera and we're gonna make a video. I was like, all right, fine, whatever. I'm like very camera shy. I hate like being on video, like growing up and stuff, I'm the one that's like, no, don't film me, kind of thing. And finally I was like, all right, whatever. So we made a few videos and kind of just didn't even think anything about it. We just made them, and like months later we were realizing like people were viewing them, commenting and stuff, and I was like, whoa, what the heck, like people are actually like looking at this stuff. And then so we're like, all right, maybe we'll give this another shot. So we made a video. It was the Arlo Pro, and I mean, terrible quality, but we tried to make it like just cut the fluff, make it was like a maybe like 3 or 4 minute video. I don't even know if it was around how long it was, but it got like 50 or so thousand views. And then all of a sudden it was like, whoa, okay, maybe we should take YouTube a little more seriously. Like maybe there is an audience, like our audience that loves smart home stuff is on YouTube and maybe not as much reading articles. And so that was kind of where that sparked the transition of, hey, we need to give YouTube a fair shot. And that's when we started to make videos a little bit more regularly. And that's kind of what kind of started it.
Yeah. So now you're on YouTube, right? Growing your audience, 50,000. This is always a question I've had. So you get 50,000 views. How many subscribers do you typically get from a video that gets like that?
Well, so a video like that, we did start getting subscribers from it, but until, when the quality of videos starts increasing, that's when you get more subscribers. Like we had a video shortly after we went to CES and we got probably around like 250,000, but the quality was so terrible. Like, I got so many mean comments, people saying, oh man, your voice is just putting me to sleep and all these things. And it was true. It was like so painful because it was true. And I was like, dang it. Because I was just reading a script and I didn't know, I didn't know what I was doing. I still barely feel like I know what I'm doing. And, but we got some subscribers from it, but not as much as if, it was higher quality, people are more likely to subscribe. So as the, views started rolling in and our quality started increasing, that's when we would see more and more subscribers. So yeah, that first bit, we still didn't even have, we probably had maybe a couple hundred subscribers. I mean, we definitely didn't have 1,000 subscribers at that point. So, that's, yeah.
I'm going to go off what you just said there. There are a couple of things I want to touch on. One was how you started to improve the video quality and what methods you used to do that. And the second thing was how you started to deal with mean comments. It sounds like some of those might be tied together, that the mean comments may have driven you towards trying to improve the video, but I was curious to hear how you went about that specifically.
Yeah, so the mean comments, I've always kind of like, at first it was like, oh man, it was scary, like posting something on YouTube, you never know what people are going to say, like, oh man, you suck, all this kind of stuff. But people, I realized, like, most of the time they're pretty nice. And then if they were saying something, mean, it's usually was usually true. Like,
Okay.
and so I kind of just said, hey, I'm going to take what they're saying and try to just improve. Like, say, hey, you know, my audio quality is not as good, or my delivery isn't that energetic or good or anything like that. I can improve, and, you know, hopefully people will say that less. And so, unless, you know, I don't try to like block anybody unless they're just downright, you know, just being completely malicious or something like that. But yeah, the way I would prove it, like, I feel like still the way I've been trying to do is like every week try to improve one little thing, whether it's video quality, audio. So slowly upgraded equipment, like started using an external mic and not like the onboard mic of the camera or the phone. Or like when I first started, I was just using a microphone on just, you know, some AirPods or something, which sounded terrible. But I didn't know. I was just like, oh, there's a microphone, you know. So slowly, like every week, just try to like slowly improve things. And I know right now, for example, I know tons of stuff that I need to improve. It's just like trying to take it one step at a time and not trying
Yeah,
to
of course.
overwhelm myself. So
I'm curious too how you approach the sort of personal aspect of yourself of being a little timid to speak on camera at first. Did that come with time that you just got more accustomed to it?
oh yeah, I mean that that's definitely came with time. I mean, I'm just finally starting to feel a little more comfortable. Like when I sit in front of the camera and start talking, like I can feel a little bit. But I took a few courses online. There was like a Udemy course, and that helped a lot. There was like this lady who was just kind of helping you just realize how to just kind of, I don't know, all the things she would say. But I took that. I think I took it twice, and that helped a lot. So just trying to, you know, because I love the YouTube space. I love it. You know, making the videos and standing in front of the camera, it's like still not really my favorite. It's like I know I have to do it, but I like the technology part of it and showing people stuff. So I just figured, hey, if I improve this, then, you know, more and more people are going to be able to see these videos or want to watch them and stuff. So, but yeah, it's an ongoing process for me. I mean, like, yeah.
I mean,
I can totally relate to that. That's why I'm asking those questions.
you seem pretty natural. I mean, honestly, you have a great presence from what I've watched. So
Well,
I'd say
thanks.
And I
don't.
was telling Mike before the call too, I was noticing, I guess you could call them Easter eggs maybe, but just little indications of your own personal interests. Like I was appreciating a scene you had frozen from Arrested Development, was the fire sale scene with Tobias, and I love it. I was cracking up at that.
Oh yeah, I love Rest of. Yeah, I try to throw in stuff, you know, that I love, you know, Mr. Robot, Rest Development, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, because I don't. I've always tried to just shy away from like, hey, let me tell you this story about my life and all that kind of stuff. Like people, like they just want the. But I try to sneak it in, you know what I mean? Like, and so if people like it, then great. But if not, then yeah, they can ignore it, I guess.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
cool.
hiding the Easter egg is like one of the greatest things you can do, right?
Yeah, I love when people find them. Like there's still some that people haven't found, but one of them someone saw was like we did a light strips video, and my wife has one of those little letter boards so you can write the little words out, and we wrote out like all of the lights. You know, there's the song like Kanye
I
West,
noticed that. Yeah, I
and
did
someone was
notice that
like, "Oh,
actually.
Kanye West," and so it's always fun when people find those things. But there's definitely so, like throughout the video, we usually try to like in every video try to hide like a couple things, and if people find them, that's awesome. But if not, you know, whatever.
It's cool. It's a clever way of revealing your personality a little bit without straying from the content, like you said, your viewers tend to be focused on.
Yeah.
And
It's fun.
so, I mean, on the gear side, it sounds like too. It sounds like you've updated your gear pretty consistently, right? You're always adding new cameras. So what did you start with, and how has that changed as your channel has grown?
Yeah. So we had a Sony Nex 3. It's like one of the first mirrorless cameras. That worked pretty well. And then I got a Galaxy S8, just the cell phone, and I started using that for a long time. And what I would do is, since the back camera was better than the front facing camera, I would flip it around, and then there was this, I think I think it was called Vipe or something with the, anyways, it was a app that would display what's the screen on your phone to your monitor on your computer, like your computer monitor. And then I could
Mhm.
see, you know, I could frame the shot and everything. So that was pretty cool. I used that for a long time. Like I even used that phone to film. I think it was CES 2019, which that video, like, I mean, I used a little bit of a DSLR as well, but most of it shot in a cell phone. Like no one would ever say anything. No one like would say like, hey, this is shot on a cell phone or whatever. So, and then I got a Canon DSLR, and that was great to kind of learn some of the, you know, ISO and aperture and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
And then I finally upgraded to a Sony A6400, which shoots 4K, and I did that about September or so last year, so not even that long ago. And since then, you know, I've been getting lenses, and it's sitting, you know, sitting right there. I've got some, like, kind of rigged it up to add a big V mount battery and everything. So now it's just like in a recorder, and now I'm using an audio recorder with a better microphone and everything. So slowly, just, you know, kind of been upgrading, and I feel like it helps. Like every little bit, like people aren't ever like, "Hey, wow, oh, your quality just jumped up" or anything. It's just like one of those things, like subtle things that just slowly get better over time. And I notice it more, obviously, but I don't know. Yeah,
But it makes sense because you said in the beginning that your perspective was every time I increase the quality of my video, my subscriber base grows. So that should be a great place to invest. And it sounds like it's part of your procedure there. And the
definitely.
funny thing too is, I think one thing that people get stuck on when they want to start a YouTube channel or they want to start a podcast or they want to start something is that they have to have all this gear. But you're probably the second or third person who's told us, right, Drew? Is like I started with a cell phone, right? And that's all you need. Everyone has it. Everyone, like most people, have access to a cell phone, so it's very easy to do it, and you can always grow your base from there. So I think
For
that's really
sure.
cool to
Mhm.
say.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think, yeah, definitely people get caught up with a. I follow Casey Neistat, and he's always a big thing of saying, "Hey, you know, shoot with your best camera that you have." I'm a firm believer in that. It's, you know, it's about the story, it's about the content. You know, obviously the better quality. You know, but you know, people, if it's shot on a cell phone but sounds pretty good, that could go along. Like you could run a really, really successful YouTube channel for a long time just doing it that way. So yeah, you definitely don't need the newest DSLR or mirrorless camera that comes out, and, you know, a red camera or anything like that. Like obviously that's awesome, but you definitely don't need it.
Yeah, and just start something somewhere with just get out there, do something else on the side. Maybe it becomes
Yeah,
your first hustle, right? So
But it sounds like to me that work paid off, especially I'm looking at your channel right now. The top three most popular videos are all pretty recent within the past year, and they're all over 1 million views. One is even closer to two of them are closer to 2 million views, excuse me. Do you remember which of those three videos was the first to hit 1 million and what that experience was like?
yeah. So the first one, I believe, was the CES 2019. That
Hmm.
one just took off. That was, so we did CES 2018. That was the one that I told you that, you know, was kind of low quality, and then it was like, all right, we're gonna do better and just make the video better. And for whatever reason, YouTube just pushed that video out like crazy, and yeah, hit over 1 million, and subscribers just rocketed, and that was, yeah, a big huge breakthrough, like a big video for us. But yeah, when that hit 1 million, like, you know, I don't remember how many months later from when we posted, but that was a big deal. Like that was pretty awesome.
and what did it feel like to get the plaque? Right, you hit 100,000 subscribers because we were talking earlier, and you're like, oh, I had a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 subscribers. How was that growth? To
Yeah, so the plaque, well, the plaque was a little anticlimactic for us because seriously, it was so annoying. So YouTube glitched out like right before we hit 100,000. Like we were counting like the days. We're like, oh, we're gonna hit it in like a week or whatever, and then all of a sudden, our subscribers were like on the back end. were just falling like 1,000 or two every day, and we were like, what the heck?
Oh,
But on
no.
the front end, they were still the same, and we were like freaking out, like, what is going on? But it turned out YouTube had an error in their um, some server error where they weren't accounting for old subscribers correctly temporarily. Like it was like a few week thing, but it just happened to be right when we were so our on the back end it went from like 95,000 to like 102. Like it just we missed it, and so
man.
I never really got to enjoy it. And then and so it just kind of was like but then finally I was like, all right, I'm gonna celebrate this, and it was awesome though. Like I mean, something that again I would never have ever dreamed of. Like I thought, like, oh, I have like a few thousand subscribers and maybe grow a little bit more than that, do it kind of for fun on the side. But it's been like mind blowing, and like I'm just like every day so grateful that like people have subscribed and watch our videos. Like it's just crazy. Like I honestly I can barely like believe it every day. It's kind of nuts.
That's got to be a crazy feeling, thinking that 177,000 people will get a notification. They're within your reach. They're within earshot of you at any time. How has that perspective changed your outlook on the channel from when you were just at 50 or 100 subscribers to where you are now?
Yeah, so it's weird. I still don't think I'll ever get used to it. Like we publish a video and people watch it like right away. That's still like kind of
It's
bizarre
like
to
going
me.
into people's pockets, most
Yeah,
likely.
it's weird. And I feel like when we were first publishing videos, it was basically just this black void. You just publish it, and you're like, I hope someone views this video the next like 6 months,
Hmm.
next year. Like you kind of just hopefully the YouTube algorithm kind of just tries to promote this. So you post it, and that was it. No views for at least a few days or whatever. And so I still kind of I try to keep the same mentality of like, hey, I'm going to try my best on every video, and I don't expect anybody to watch any video. I feel the same way. If someone watches a video, I'm just very grateful. And I still think it's really cool that, strangers on the internet watch a video I create. And if I help them, then that's like so awesome. And so I kind of, I don't know if I'll ever change from that. Like it's just something that
Hmm.
I think I'll just always be grateful for, and always just keep trying to make videos. Like I have no subscribers, and I'm trying to, just make them for people that will watch, I guess.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so, at what point did you and your wife determine that, hey, like this is a viable business? We should really focus 100% of our time here and move away from the corporate life. What was it the 100,000 subscribers, or was it before that? When did that happen?
It was right around, it was a little bit before that. So I was working at a job, the last job before I went to YouTube full time, and it was going well, but it was pretty flexible, and that I knew that they would allow me to work part time. And so we were like, hey, you know what? To make the jump to full time, it might be kind of hard to go just straight from a normal full time job to YouTube full time. So for almost a year, I worked part time doing YouTube and part time in my other job. So it was a big leap though. Like it was one that me and my wife discussed a lot, and she was maybe a little bit hesitant on, just like, hey, like maybe we should grow up more. But it was kind of this, catch 22 is this problem of like, hey, if I don't invest more time, then I'm not going to be able to make that jump. And so to make that
Hmm.
jump, you gotta, or to make that transition, you have to make that initial kind of small leap of faith to like, hey, I'm gonna invest more time in this, and hopefully it will grow because of it, which it did. And so yeah, it's kind of one of those tricky things, and you kind of have to feel out. But you definitely, when you put more time in and energy and everything, then you'll see more results, which has been great.
Yeah, it makes total sense. But I mean, that's one of the scariest things of any entrepreneurial side, right? Is like,
Yeah.
especially when you have that like comfort, right? You're comfortable where you are today. Why would I make this leap out there? But
Hmm.
I think you followed the passion, and I think you had that base, so you had a little bit more cushion to go with, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And congratulations, because honestly, so many people that we know and so many people that we talk to have made that choice, and it's worked out. And there's so many people in the world who just sit at the job and do it and never leave, but have
Yeah.
aspirations just like you. So it's cool to see that happen.
Yeah, thanks.
I want to pull back because I think when we're talking about the 3 million video or the 1 million plus videos, we were talking about trade shows, right? So in our current state of affairs in the world, trade shows are probably not going to happen, but it seems like trade shows are a very big part of your world, as well as the smart home and smart items industry, right? There's the consumer grade at CES, and then there's the professional grade products at CEDIA. So how important are trade shows, and what trade shows do you attend?
So we've pretty much only done CES, and they've been very important for not only just, I mean, yes, the video has been great to make a video and help people see, hey, what's there and everything, but we've made some great connections with companies, being able to meet, you know, some of the people that are making some of these products and be able to exchange information and everything. So that's been huge. But I feel like for us now, like we stopped having them, like we're in a good spot. Luckily enough that we've kind of made a lot of those connections already with like the big companies. Whereas if we were just starting out, it might be a little bit harder right now. So I kind of feel bad for, you know, the people that are maybe just trying to get off the ground to make those connections. But you know, it's tough. It's one of those things that, you know, I don't even know, like, who knows what will be like in a year. You know what I mean? It's like I know that they haven't canceled CES for this next year, which is kind of crazy, but I'm guessing they're just holding off as long as possible. Then maybe going to cancel it,
They
but
probably
yeah,
have
I
an
don't.
insurance claim on it, so they probably can't cancel it until a certain time so that they get their insurance money so they don't lose.
Yeah, that could be it. Yeah, and it's probably hard once you cancel it. You can't like, oh, oops, oh no, things have gotten better. We're gonna just open it back up. You know, so I mean, you know, who knows? And so yeah, I don't know, like the future with that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know.
Do you think this opens an opportunity for, so since you have these partnerships, do you think it opens an opportunity for you to go to your partners and say, hey, you're not going to have this platform to launch your devices. Why don't you use your YouTube audience to help put the word out there? I think there's a great opportunity there. And have you talked to any of your, you know, suppliers or manufacturers about that?
Not necessarily specifically like, hey, in that aspect, like, oh, CES probably won't get much, you won't get much coverage on that or whatever. It's, I think that from when I've been talking to manufacturers, companies that are wanting to get their products out. So we, as YouTubers, you get, as tech YouTubers especially, like you get overloaded with emails every single day of people saying, hey, you know, share our stuff, make a video or whatever. And so probably like 95% time I just say no, or even maybe even higher. But some of those people, you know, we say yes to, and we've been talking to some of the bigger companies, and I think they realize that, hey, YouTubers bring a different perspective to the things. They can show some stuff that maybe it's not just like the specs, like maybe how to use it, some ideas on how it can fit in your life, versus more of the media outlets that these companies have traditionally said, hey, you know, the CNETs and the Verge, and we'll send them our stuff. We'll have a good relationship with them. They're usually just kind of like, hey, here's this review. It has good specs, you know. So I think that the industry as a whole is viewing YouTubers as more of like, hey, we can or work with them a little bit more to help people kind of see some of the stuff. So yeah, it's been getting better and better. So I think it's just something that's just gonna keep improving, I guess.
Yeah, and that makes total sense on getting that much, I mean, information thrown at you from manufacturers. Because if you go to CES or you go to any of these major trade shows, you walk in and there is an overload of major brands, and that is in, if it's 100,000 square foot building, that's in the first 20,000 square feet. But there's 80,000 square feet of manufacturers that no one knows who they are. So
yeah, it's nuts. Cool that, it's nuts.
Wild. I'm always blown away whenever we go to trade shows like that. So have you thought about going to, like, the builder show, international builder show out in, I think it's in Orlando or Vegas, or have you thought of, do you go to VidCon? Do you go to any of those?
I haven't. I've kind of looked at some of those other ones. I just, it's been something that, yeah, I guess I haven't really looked into that much. I've seen a few, and I've talked to some companies about, I've talked to like Amazon going to their, when they talk about their Echo devices, and maybe Google as well. But no, but I was talking to them before the pandemic hit. And
Right.
so it's just kind of like, who knows what will be like, in the future. But yeah, more trade shows could be. It's a tough one though, because it's like, would it be a good use of time since a lot of the stuff's not necessarily maybe smart home, like heavily smart home related. It's might like, oh, you can sprinkle in some smart home stuff. I
It'd be
don't know.
interesting to
Like,
get your perspective at the International Builder Show. I think you could, because there's so, I mean, obviously there's gonna be like concrete and foundational items and posts, all the shingle, whatever it is at the
yeah,
International Builder Show. But there also is some interesting smart items that aren't typically at like a CES, like battery backup systems for homes, those kind of items. I think
that would be interesting. It's probably worth checking out in the future.
who knows
I'll have to
knows
look
if
into
it
that.
even will happen. So maybe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing.
So, yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see. So one thing that I've noticed is you have an affinity for LED strip lights.
Yeah,
And it's not just on a single video, right? You've made a couple. So
yeah.
why strip lights? What's the draw?
Um, I I I started I made that first video. It was like 6 light strips around my
Yeah.
house or whatever. And I started doing it, and it just was like, whoa, I can put some lights in places that I never like kind of thought would, like you typically wouldn't put lights, and the soft glow, the RGB colors to do, like my kids love it. Like my kids love when I change the colors. And I have 2 little girls, and they have their little dance parties and all that stuff. And I know people think like the RGB colors a little gimmicky, and yeah, I mean most people for that, but when you have kids and stuff, it's so much fun. And the lighting, it's just not harsh in your eyes. So the light strips, just make it, just the lighting so much nicer. The other night, actually last night, I was emailing somebody, and they're like asking about some light strips, and realize I have like 6 different light strips in my office right now. It's like, oh, this is a little maybe too much. Like, I'm testing them all out, so it's like I have, I guess, a little bit of an excuse, but they're so much fun. I love it.
I love how you actually show how you can come up with clever ideas to use them around the home too. That's something that you were getting at before, with the fact that maybe from the manufacturer you might not get these ideas. Like, you should put this under your bed and hook it up to a motion sensor, so when you move in the middle of the night, you can see where your feet are stepping. That's genius. I think that's great. And that's
Yeah,
something
it's so much fun.
that appealed to me as a viewer. I don't have any experience with light strips, but I was thinking, I need to go out and get some light strips now. It's going to make my TV look so much better. It's
Oh
going to make
yeah,
my bedroom look so much better.
it does. It's so great because too, and they're hidden. So like people are like,
Yeah.
oh, that's like you literally would, you'd walk through our house, if they weren't on, you wouldn't even know they're there. And then all of a sudden, like they light up, and it's like, whoa, that's awesome. Like, yeah, you can see under the bed, see under or bathroom vanity. It's just
Mm-hmm.
makes it so way better. And yeah, even I make jokes in the video that my wife gets annoyed, but she really does like them because the like she likes the soft lighting and stuff. I mean, she does like rolls her eyes, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna put some more somewhere, but she does, she's on board with it all, of course, and she likes it.
Now, have you noticed that your wife has become very like knowledgeable on all the other devices that you have in your house, and then now has like asked you to tune things, or have become like very specific requests for programming?
Yeah, so I made a video recently about like fixing my smart home, and this was her like directly saying, hey, this thing, like a few things are annoying her, and annoying me as well. Like,
Right, right.
you set up so much stuff in your house, eventually some things are just gonna like not work out perfectly, and you have to tweak. So yeah, usually she knows how, like she like likes it and likes how it works or whatever. she might not know specifically all the like ins and outs of it, because I've kind of done most of that work, but she occasionally will say, you know, like, oh, hey, this thing's annoying me, or I'm putting my foot down for this thing. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe I can't do that. So I do, like, I don't have like unlimited like reign on like putting smart home stuff anywhere in my house, but for the most part, she's super supportive, and yeah, and like it's been great, because I feel like a lot of people might have probably put their foot down way longer, like previous, and so she's been a good sport about it all.
That definitely makes it a lot easier to go through it. So where do you get the ideas to put your videos up? Like, what's the process behind making the video? And then, you know, is it, if it's not a review, I think this is generally focused at, you've kind of had a couple really popular videos that we've seen, right? Like ideas for the apartment, ideas for X. How do you come up with this whole idea process?
A lot, you know, now it's gotten a little bit easier with an audience. There's tons of comments, people saying, hey, I'd love to see something about this topic, or hey, I'm running into this problem. And so being able to read all the comments from all the different videos, and being able to just kind of, and then of course using it in my own house and being like, hey, you know what, I would really like this thing, and I think a lot of people have mentioned that they would like that as well. So it's kind of a mix of that. And we also just did a video where people were able to submit their own like problems, or challenge me to make videos on to help fix their problems. And so we got tons of really, really good suggestions there. And that's kind of, so it's just kind of a mix of everything. I mean, yeah, so it's not like one specific thing. We just basically had this spreadsheet of all these different ideas, kind of rank them. And, you know, some are from audience members, some are things we've thought up. And we just, you know, try to pick the best ones. And yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like every week we try to, me and my wife will sit down and talk about videos and what would do potentially well, like what people would like, what would be helpful, and just try to go from there.
Now,
You've kind of hinted at something that I wanted to ask about, which was your approach to interacting with comments and with your audience, and what that has been from the beginning versus what it is now, or if it's sort of stayed the same along the way.
Yeah, so we try to respond as many comments as possible. And emails. It gets difficult though. A lot of people send in their questions on, hey, how could I do this? And they're not just like, you know, they take time to respond to a lot of these ones. So we try to do as many as we can, but sometimes it can be a little overwhelming. I just don't have time in the day to answer everybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we try to do as much, and that's been great. I mean, I think people really see that we're trying to help, and they're like, oh, hey, you know, Smart Home Solver helped us fix this thing. And then maybe they're more likely to watch more videos and implement more smart home stuff because of that. So it's kind of always the goal, is to just try to help people. And if they're, you know, if they're having a good experience with the smart home, then that's like the goal. It's like, hey, people are liking this, we're helping people, then, you know, it's great. I love it. I mean, talking to people in the comments is like probably one of my favorite things, because it's like, hey, you know, talking to this random stranger, and I feel like I'm helping them some way, and it's awesome. I just love it.
Seems like the goal has been being accomplished every time you do that, because you started it. The whole process was to help people understand smart homes better, because it is a very complicated system to like unravel, right?
For
and
sure.
Every time you answer a comment, it's like, this person has a specific question, and I'm helping them, and they're going to be a better smart homer. I don't know if that's a word. After this, right? Their home will be more smart and easier to use.
For sure.
So how far out do you plan your videos, right? You have this spreadsheet and you rank. Now, do you know, like, in 2 weeks I'm going to be doing this video, or is it kind of fluid?
Usually we know like 2 to 3 videos out, like kind of what we'll be working on, because we'll need to order some stuff off Amazon to like, hey, we'll need this for this video, or you know, like sometimes we do like bigger roundups, like we're about to do one. And so sometimes we'll buy a bunch of products, or have manufacturers send us some if they want to. And so it just kind of like getting all that stuff ready. Sometimes we're just like, hey, let's just do this video this week and we'll just do it, so kind of depends. Usually it's more planning though, like 2 or 3 weeks out.
Makes sense. I mean,
It's yeah.
go ahead, Drew.
Yeah. It seems like in the past year, I sort of mentioned that before, that a lot of your most popular videos are within the past year. So that was leading me to ask about what your goals and methods are for growing your channel now that you've experienced that massive growth versus from 2015 until a year ago. Maybe it might have been slower, but seeing that boost up with that CES video and getting a whole lot more subscribers, what is your approach now to growing the channel?
Yeah, so this is something I'm always thinking about, and pretty much what, we know the types of videos that are like more mass appeal, and trying to do those without doing it too much, I guess, because you want to help people be also, it's like this tough balance between obviously getting new people, like reaching out to new people on YouTube that like, hey, I never even heard of your channel before, and also keeping other people, like the subscribers, happy. It's a
Mm-hmm.
very, very tough balance. And so we try to plan some of those videos, like mix them in to get some of those new subscribers. And some of the ways we're trying to do that is like, tons of people have, a Google Home or an Echo Dot or something like that in their house, and getting more use out of that, or finding ways to, get make that more useful. That's that's one path. Another one is just just kind of exploring new topics that people might be interested, that are just like slight offshoots, still like smart home and or automation related, but maybe kind of going into a slightly different audience. So we're just trying to always kind of do that. It's tough. I mean, I wish that I had like a concrete answer. It's something we're just trying to figure out day to day, I guess.
And I think as you grow, the complication of that will only stay, right? It's never going to be
Yeah,
like, oh, that's an easy thing. Just like you learned in your major and in the past careers you've had. It's just figuring out how to solve the issue, and then next issue and the next issue, and rolling that snowball down. So
for sure.
is collaboration a big? I mean, it seems that you collaborate pretty frequently. Is that a good way for you to grow your channel, or how does that work on your side of the business?
Yeah, so I've only really like kind of done one real collaboration with Paul Hibbert,
Yep.
and he's over in England, and he has a really great YouTube channel, quirky personality and everything, really funny. And I've never really like done actual collaborations with, I've given some shout outs. Some other people might have given us some shout outs, but it's something I would love to do more. It's kind of, I'm kind of, I guess, a little bit picky on the types of videos I do. I don't want to just do a video where I'm like, hey, you should go subscribe to this person or something like. So when we did with Paul Hibbert, it worked out well because he had a different viewpoint on the Philips Hue bulbs than I did. And so it was like, oh, this could be fun to, he shares his view, I share my view. It's kind of like a little bit of a battle almost. And that worked out well. And so I kind of like more collaborations that are like, people would find like useful or want to watch. And trying to figure that out is kind of, is maybe a little bit, I don't know. I guess I'm just a little more picky, I guess, with the content. So
That makes sense, especially thinking back to that dynamic you described of having to maintain your base of subscribers interested and keep them interested with the content that's true to your channel and the origins of your channel versus reaching that very broad audience that gets you new subscribers. But how do you do that without just, hopping onto trends and sort of following what's popular?
exactly, yeah.
That's
Yeah,
tough.
we've tried that. We've tried to do, like, we've stepped a little bit too far certain topics, and just, videos fall flat, and it's just kind of like, you're like, oh, hey, we learned, it's not nothing to ever like I beat myself up for, like, trying something new, but you're like, hey, you look at the data and you say, hey, I'm going to make, not make similar mistakes, and try to, make stuff that my audience subscribe for, and yeah, and try to continue to grow. So yeah, it's a tough balance.
I think that's an attitude that most people that we've talked to so far have adopted or been forced into, really, which is, I feel it too. You don't want to be putting yourself out there and think, oh, I'm going to get so many negative comments. I'm going to get so many down likes on this. But if you stay frozen in that fear, then you'll end up not producing any content whatsoever. And really the ultimate goal is to just put it out there, put it out into the black abyss and see what comes back and take the analytics from that and keep moving forward. I appreciate that.
Exactly. Yeah, we've taken some risks. Like we made a video. It was about like Back to the Future 2. They, they have like a little scene in that movie where they have a lot of like smart home stuff. And, it was like, hey, we've never made a video like this. Like, let's just try it and see what happens. And people seem to like it. So it's like you sometimes make gambles and people like it and it works out. And sometimes, it doesn't. It's just like part of the game, and
Mm-hmm.
YouTube's, so many ups and downs. I mean, it's like at one point you're like, well, this is amazing. I'm getting so many views on this video. Like you're on top of the world. And, another day video just falls flat and it's just like, it's a little bit sad, but you just make another video and you move on. So
I like how you said it's part of the game. And I think
yeah,
viewing it as a game implies that, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some.
yeah,
I
exactly.
like that phrasing. For you personally, looking ahead, what's the next big milestone that you're looking forward to?
Well, I mean, I guess we're gonna soon, we're going to 200,000 subscribers. That will be a little bit of a next milestone. And yeah, like I don't know, it's one of those things that one day it would be like, oh, that'd be awesome to hit like 1 million subscribers, but it's like, who knows if that will ever happen or whatever. But it's just trying to like taking the little wins, being great, like being happy for the little wins. So I guess looking forward to the 200,000. And we have like a little chart that we've been filling out. So every time we hit like a little milestone, we write the date and try to have like little incentives and stuff. And
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, it's been fun. Like my little daughter helps. It's like this little chart you fill in and she kind of fills it in. It's like fun. So
that was a question that I wanted to ask too, is what it's been like sort of doing this as a family versus just as a single YouTuber doing it by himself.
Been great. So first, like I think working with my wife, like working with somebody has been huge. Like I 100% know, like if I was just doing it by myself, I'd probably like barely even have got off the ground. Like she's been very good about critiquing, like saying, hey, this isn't good, or like, hey, you know what, Reed, this video is good, you're freaking out over nothing. Like I'll like it, like every once I'll be like, oh my gosh, this video, like I don't know what's going on, this isn't going to be good. And she'll like talk to me about it, or say, hey, like let's make some edits, or have some different ideas, bouncing ideas off each other. That's been awesome. And if you can, if you're starting a YouTube channel, you're doing YouTube, working with someone that's like willing to be a little bit critical to like help you grow and stuff, invaluable. And with my kids, it's been fun. Like my oldest daughter, she's 5, and she at first like just didn't like being on camera. Like we try not to show her face or anything, and so we just give her like a cookie like every time we film a scene. And she knows now, like every time she's like, all right, do I get a treat? And it's like, yeah, you get a treat. But she likes it now. She like looks at the thumbs up and thumbs down, and she's like thinks it's cool, and but doesn't really think much about it. Like every once in a while she'll say something where we're like, wait, what? Like like I don't know. But it's been fun. Like working from home and all this stuff, working with my family, it's like dream come true. Like it's been awesome.
Yeah, that is a dream come true.
Yeah, it's been great. Like it's not perfect, of course. Like there's been plenty of times where I'm like, hey, you know what, we need to clean the house. I'm filming some shots in the kitchen and it's a disaster. So I like start cleaning, and then the kids and stuff, and I'm like, it's gotten better. Like I think that it's like it's never going to be perfect. Sometimes I'm going to annoy them with things. Like my little daughter's like, what, we have another robot vacuum, like, or another thing or whatever. But so she is always making little jokes about stuff like that. But then I'll be like, hey, you know what, I'll take a smart light bulb and put it in your room, or a little like on her desk where she does like work and stuff. And so she likes it. Like she overall, like, it's been very positive. Like, we've liked it, but of course it's, not perfect either, but no, never will be.
I thought it was
Do they
neat.
have any favorite home automations?
Yeah, so so my daughter, so I put some of these light strips in her room, and she loves that. They don't have a little Echo Dot in the room just because they'd probably be triggering it all night or something. But we put it in. They have like a little like playroom, and we have one in there. They listen to like their kids, music and lights. They there's I put some light strips behind the piano, and so she's playing piano. She'll like that because they play with the music. Like, there's a microphone in there, so that's kind of
That's
cool.
Oh,
cool.
wow.
And yeah, so it's just, oh, and then I put some light strips in the bathroom, and like in the inside of the mirror, and
Okay.
they're really cool. They're the Govee Dream Color, and so they can light up different colors at the same time. And I did it for the video, and I was like, oh, this will be cool to show, and maybe I'll leave it there for a little bit and take it down. And I even said in the video, like, there'll be some that, but my daughter's like, no, you're keeping these there. And so I was like, all right, whatever. Like, so she loves it, like, makes some rainbow color and stuff. So it's a lot of fun. Like, always doing stuff. Like, it's fun. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think a lot of people with smart homes, they love doing it with their kids and stuff. They have like smart
Yeah.
lights and little things. Like, people I've seen, they'll put like a motion sensor and a light and have their kids like play a game where, if they cannot be detected by the motion sensor, just a lot
Oh,
of
that's
fun
funny.
stuff. Like, and see
Yeah,
if
that's
not
cool.
make the light not turn on. So yeah, it's like, it's fun. Like, I think it's typically like a lot of guys watch smart home type videos, but
Mhm.
it's really like a family thing. Everyone seems to like all the automations and stuff. So
I thought that too, especially with a set of Christmas lights that you could change the color on the Christmas tree. I think I saw that in one of your CES
oh
videos,
yeah,
maybe.
the twinkly, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, those are really cool. And
Yeah, that was really clever.
we got some of those, but yeah, we should have to wait till Christmas. We were
Yeah.
but
Keep
it's
Christmas
fun.
enjoyable.
Like, all the, like, there's the robot vacuum that's, cleaning, or the lights that, turn off by themselves, or turn, things that definitely are family friendly. So it's definitely, it's not just a thing that's like, a man's game type thing.
Hmm.
It's definitely for the whole family.
And so, do you have, a favorite smart home device in your house that is like obviously, other than light strips, right?
Yeah.
What's your favorite go-to item?
My favorite go-to item, and I've shared this before, it's just being able to, I turn on the TV and I turn off the TV, the lights change automatically. That's like probably the one that I like the most. Like, just my lights in my family room, like being able to change with that kind of stuff. It's in the different moods, like kids have gone to bed, it kind of like automatically turns to like a relaxing lighting and all that kind of stuff. That to me is just I don't know. It's definitely the the thing I like the most. But if it was actual device, the brilliant light switch where you can do quite a bit of stuff on it, that's been really cool. That's been something that I've liked more um, than I would have expected, I guess.
Yeah, they're pretty big in the industry right now, so that
Yeah.
makes sense. It's a pretty cool device to see. Um, and what do you have integrated with that?
I have like my different smart bulbs. I have it connected to smart things. So, I have some different scenes on it and click on it really quick. Like, there, as much as using your voice to control stuff or your phone, it is nice to just have like something always on the wall, like a light switch or that, where
Hmm.
it's, I know people put dashboards like a tablet or something on the wall, and I eventually want to do that. But yeah, just being able to have something you just quickly go up and press, or anybody can in the family, it's really, really convenient.
I've always said that to people I've talked to about the smart home industry. They're always I lived in Seattle for a while, and people were always like, "I'm just going to use Alexa for everything." I'm like, "Well, you probably want to put something on the wall to touch.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
glad.
Eventually people get annoyed with that for sure. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like when you try to remember the command, or, it's like you're watching TV and it's loud and you're trying to change something, like, it can be, it's not ideal in every situation for sure.
Mhm.
your friend comes over and they just want to, they're going into, you say, hey, can you go grab this from over there? Oh, but you got to tell Alexa to do that. I'm like, dude, just hit a button
Exactly.
on the wall. Anyone can hit a button on the wall.
Exactly.
And so are you going to ever, you're focused pretty much on the DIY side of the channel. Are you going to start to ever integrate with or start to work with some of the professional grade products out there? Or is it going to be strictly focused towards the DIYer?
It's pretty much strictly towards the DIY. I've talked to some of the big name smart home that like does it professionally, and I challenged them actually. I was like, hey, you know what? It'd be fun to see if your system could do more than a system I could do with the DIY, and they didn't like that. So, I thought that'd be fun to see, just to see if it would be possible. But I think, I try some of my videos with like ideas and stuff, they can still apply to people that are doing it professionally. It's not necessarily like, oh, you have to, buy these certain things. So I try to keep it open enough to for people like that, but it's just not something, I don't know, like I'm all like, I was telling about my dad's system. It's just like having to have someone come out and make the modification, or if you don't really know how it all works. And I just like being in more control, like knowing how it all works, and you can swap stuff out yourself. And it's just,
that makes total sense.
Yeah.
And with where smart homes are going, there's so much more opportunity in that channel that you're playing in. I mean, what? So 2015 when you started, to put a camera system in your home, you still pretty much needed a professional to run some cable for you. There wasn't really so many battery options. So what other major changes have you seen in the smart home from 2015 to now? How is the industry changes every day? It's crazy.
It does, yeah. It's been getting, there's just been getting a lot better solutions that are less expensive. Like Wise is a big one. They're just about to come out with an outdoor camera. It's like $50. They had their indoor one was 25. And so that was a big shakeup. Like their sensors are like $5. And those have been big because it opens the doors to so many more people that can, get their foot into the door and start doing it. And so that's been huge, as well as just things are just getting a lot easier to connect now. Like when I first started, it was just kind of like, oh, like some things are compatible, but now they have the Amazon routines. Most things are compatible with that, or Google, and soon Google's going to update theirs where they'll have the same thing, like third parties devices will be able to trigger routines. So they have smart things that is compatible with so many more things now. And it just really opened the door to like, it's not really like that difficult to get stuff to work together. It's just, so that's probably been the biggest thing, is way more like prices definitely come down and more compatibility. So still not perfect, it has a long ways to go, but it's gotten a lot better.
But that conditional logic that you're talking about, which I think if this then that was one of the first into that free conditional logic realm, but that was really held deeply by the professional grade products, right? That was the major differentiator when in maybe 2015 or before that.
Yeah.
If you wanted to have something turn off after dark but only on Tuesdays, that's a professional grade product. If you wanted it to turn on every day, that's the free. And so I think that's a really cool shift in the industry, and I think your channel will see that role and increase your subscriber base. I really do see that where you're at is a good opportunity for you.
Yeah. Thanks.
So,
yeah, it's definitely, it's so true. And if this and that is definitely like, it's kind of going down a little bit, like companies are dropping it, apparently they're charging more money and stuff. So kind of people are shifting a little bit away from that. And so it's kind of it's a little bit too bad. It's still used a lot, but I've been trying to slowly steer away from it, but
I still use it for some weird things, but it's really
Yeah,
like you
it's
said,
good to like kind of fill in the gaps for stuff that you
exactly.
couldn't do otherwise. So
But now Alexa, I mean, you're 100% on point. You can do so much with the routine inside of that it's pretty powerful in that sense. But
it
yeah,
is, yeah.
um, yeah, I always use it for like weather integration, but that's
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
it's fun. But then you get into the realm of how accurate is the weather app that you're using, which is
Yeah,
usually
exactly.
pretty inaccurate to the location where you're at. But that's deep. Um, so what's your thought on locks? And
Locks.
they seem to be a somewhat of a controversial item in the smart home industry because that's the last thing that's going to be the defense of your home. If someone hacked your lock, they could get into your house theoretically. What's
Yeah.
your thoughts there?
So this is something that me and my wife will talk about every once in a while, like because it is kind of something you always have to be aware of. Is like, hey, is someone going to try to hack me or anything like that? And I feel like there's, I mean, to be able, there's the lock picking lawyer who's also on YouTube, and he can like pretty much pick any lock or whatever. And so, people being able to, obviously you can break a window too and go into someone's house if you want to. And someone just like hacking your system and unlocking your lock, I feel like it's a lower chance than some of those others happening. Like, uh, it's something I try to like. I don't want to ever like to talk too much about because I don't want to like challenge someone to say, hey,
Yeah,
come break into our home. You can't do it because if someone wanted to, you can break into anybody's home really, um but smart locks, I feel like they just add convenience to an already like semi, it's not perfect solution.
Hmm.
So it's, you forget your keys or you don't have to bring them, you can type in the code or whatever. And so that's really nice, and being able to like give codes to people to come over to babysit your dog or whatever like that, like we've done. Super, super convenient. Airbnbs, use that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I think it's way more convenient, and it's not something to be scared of, but it's just something to be aware of. Like try to, use good security that you would normally use just on the internet anyways with like your normal, like your accounts and stuff. Just try to be smart about that kind of stuff. That's kind of my take. Like if some people are just like, hey, you know what, I'm not going to deal with any of that stuff, and I that's fine. But I feel like it's not really going to add too much. I mean, we have like we have alarm systems, we have other stuff in place, cameras. I mean, it's like, yeah, I don't know. Like,
I mean, I couldn't agree more. Like you said it. The reality is, if someone's going to break into your house, their motive is already set. It doesn't matter if
yeah,
your lock is smart or not. They're going to shatter a window. They're going to break in your house either way. And if it's a hacker, right? The reality is, if that guy's smart enough to break Google's encryption to get into that lock, he's smart enough to get into a bank. You might as well go steal
yeah,
money and get in your house.
yeah, exactly. It's like,
What's
I don't
going to
know
get
what they,
Samsung TV and a camera? Like, okay,
yeah,
cool, dude.
exactly. Like if you knew how to do that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you
So,
beat 128 or 256-bit encryption. You're a pretty smart guy. Why are you doing this for a living, right?
yeah,
Um,
exactly.
so, what's next for you? Where do you see yourself going? Anything on the horizon for you? I think we've already kind of talked about where your future is going for the
Hmm.
channel, but is there anything else that you'd like to share? Any cool?
Yeah. So, I mean, there's stuff that we're kind of working on in the background. We are, it's kind of still in the works, but we're potentially going to be moving houses and just, a little bit more space. And that will open the doors to a lot more different videos. People have always been asking about, hey, what, what should I do to wire or like set up a brand new home? What should if I'm building a home or something? So we'll be kind of exploring that, as well as kind of starting fresh a little bit, like setting up the home exactly the way I would want it. You know, right now it's kind of pieced together from different videos I've done, and just kind of, and I would like to kind of start fresh and do something that is like the best way that I would think would the easiest and best way possible. So that, and as well as just kind of, you know, I don't know if I mentioned you guys. So we're selling these hats now. We're gonna potentially send more some more merch and stuff in the future. If people like, we haven't done any kind of Patreon or sponsorships. It's probably like kind of weird to like. I don't think a lot of YouTube channels have ever like. I don't know if they're like people would go full time and not do sponsorships, but we just haven't. I'm open to them, like they feel right, but I've been really just wanted to focus just on the content, and if people want to support us, like, so that's why some people have messaged us saying, hey, we want to support you, so we're going to try to sell some more stuff if they want to like help support the channel and everything. But yeah, just kind of focusing on the content, just getting trying to open the door to like more like areas and categories and stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of like the future is just, and there's some other things as well, like that we have planned. But yeah, like a lot of things, like we plan for a lot of different stuff, and whether that will happen or not, well, who knows. But we're just, it's just trying to like, with YouTube, you never know like what things will be like in the future. Just trying to, hope for the best and trying to keep improving.
Keep playing the game.
Yeah, exactly. So
sure. Hey man, I look forward to watching that house, because I really do agree. I mean, I can tie into what you're saying, right? We're all living in this retrofit world. There's so many more homes that are made than that are being made. So now you get this blank canvas, and your brain is probably just, what can I do everywhere? Yeah. So it's got to be so exciting. I'm sure you probably have some kind of spreadsheet or layout of what your dreams and goals are going to be. And that's a great way to share the content with people, because everyone's inspiring to build that home, but there's also everything that you do is kind of that retrofit market. It's exciting to see. I personally, from my brain, Drew lived through a smart home, like, because I had it when we lived together in Florida.
It's torture. Yeah, let me tell you.
It's torture. But yeah, I look forward to seeing what your brain puts onto that canvas of your home, and it should be really interesting content for your followers.
Yeah, it's gonna be very cool.
So, and everyone on our channel, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, comment nice things, please. We want to be nice to our guests. But yeah, get involved, learn about how to make your home smarter and better. And like we said in the beginning, I checked out his tech guide on his website. It's fantastic, as well as he's got a really cool tool on there that helps to, drive you down the right path of picking the right smart home products for your specific home. So check that out. And when he starts selling hats, he's wearing one. If you're watching the video, you can check it out. Drew and I both commented on it before we started. It's an awesome looking hat.
Very cool.
Make sure you get one of those. Anything else you want to say, Drew?
I'm all good. I just want to say thanks to Reed for giving us the time today, and I appreciate the conversation very much.
Yeah, thanks, Reed.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. This has been great. You guys, I love what you guys are doing, and I'm excited to listen to more podcasts. I listened to some of you guys before this, and it's interesting to hear, where other YouTubers are getting their, like, how they're getting started and what they're doing, and see, like, it's one of those things that yeah, I just find super interesting. So thank you guys for making this. It's awesome.
Yeah, no problem. And just
thanks, Reed.
We want to make we're investing on our audio side to make it better for our
awesome.
I've upgraded from the earbuds and the microphone on the earbuds. Yeah.
There you go. Nice.
Thanks so much, Reed. Appreciate the time.
Thanks, Reed.
Yeah.